Now, I would ask this question also. What percent of black men do you think are abandoning their homes right now?
Well, we know that. It's actually 60 to 70%.
Well, okay. Then you'd actually be wrong because, you know, the CDC actually submitted a report in 2023 that says 54% of black men don't even have children.
But that's
54%.
Those are two different numbers, man. I'm talking about those that impregnate.
Okay. Well, most black men are actually producing children within the construct of marriage.
I'm talking
right?
about just the kids.
So you're saying black men are getting married and then leaving their families?
Not getting married. That's the problem. What I'm saying is the data. I'm saying 2 out of 3 black men impregnate women and don't stay with them.
Sir, I'm telling you that 54% of black men, according to the CDC study 2023 National Health Statistics Reports, literally says that 54% don't even have children.
I know that's a complete different stat. Everyone knows what I'm saying and not what you're saying.
Hey, my love. So you're welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, BB Hair Furs, and I'm back again for another reaction video. So I bring to you Charlie Kirk, and the title of this one states, Charlie Kirk takes on professional race, baiting BLM's activists, epic debate. So Charlie Kirk takes on professional race, baiting BLM activists. I can't wait for us to watch this. This is gonna be a heated one, right? So without further ado, without wasting much of our time, let's get right into this video.
Yeah, so last year you said something about DEI, unqualified black pilots. You see a pilot on a black pilot. Don't you think it was an irresponsible statement suggesting that maybe these pilots
irresponsible statement?
No. But I'll tell you exactly what I said and why I said it.
Okay, go ahead.
I said the pretext. I went through a whole windup. I said United Airlines is saying that they want 40% of all their pilots to be people of color or women. We have learned that we have relaxed standards anytime that we try to reach racial quotas. Anytime we reach racial quotas, we relax the standards. Standards for air traffic control, professors, or college admissions. Therefore, when it comes to pilots or surgeons, if I see somebody who is black, as I said on the show, I'm going to hope that person is qualified. That's what I said, which of course is legitimate because they're begging the question, we're not hiring based on merit anymore. We're hiring based on race.
True.
So when you see a black pilot, you wonder, boy, is that person there because they earned it or because they were placed there? That's what DEI does. It makes you ask questions you otherwise would not ask.
So the airline industry is going to take an unqualified person just based off diversity.
Underqualified, not underqualified.
Underqualified, whatever, uncertified, and then put them in a cockpit and risk people's lives?
Those are two different things. Under and un are two different things. Of course, United Airlines will not take someone off the side of the street and put them into a pilot. But in order to reach a 40% goal, they might cut corners. They might accelerate the process in order to reach a goal. We know this through all sorts of DEI examinations and projects over the last 10 years. When you have to choose in life, either excellence or racial quotas will end up being the most important, and both cannot simultaneously exist. It's never happened before.
Okay, so when we talk about DEI, well, who benefits the most? Because black people really don't. It's only like maybe 3 to 4% of black people actually benefit from those programs. So who benefits the most?
I'm not sure your question. I mean, theoretically, if 40% of all pilots end up being black people or people of color.
But that's not. I actually looked it up. It's only like maybe about 6% of pilots
their
are black.
goal is 40%, right? That's the point. It's like that's actually a great point. So they wanted to go from 6% to 40%. And so you have to wonder, boy, you go from 6% to 40%, there's going to be a relaxing of standards.
Okay, I guess the way let me see if I can rephrase this. So, essentially, when you talk about DEI, affirmative action, or anything to that effect,
I'm against all of it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that would be fine. The thing is that now it's actually, referenced as a slur against, essentially, if you see a black person in a position or minority or whatever, the assumption is that person is not qualified. When literally, and you have to be qualified in order to even to get in that position.
Well, so let's take college admissions. So this is a great example at Harvard. We learned because of new revealed documents that black students were having test scores that were 30 to 35% lower than their white counterparts.
Okay.
And so, therefore, if you saw a black kid at Harvard, it's a fact that they were not having the same test standards as their white counterparts.
Still doesn't matter. The kid has to get through. He's got to get through the classes, do the tests, do all the research.
Well, they actually drop out at a greater rate too. But the point being is, just the idea that they were there, number one, took a spot from an otherwise qualified individual that might be white. And they were not there on the same merits. So what we want is the same rules for everybody.
You're making the assumption that they're not qualified in order to get in. In order to even get there,
it's not the assumption. It's the data. So, for example, it's literally at Harvard, you had kids with perfect SAT scores, perfect ACT scores that were white.
So that makes a degree from Harvard worthless then.
Well, you're exactly right. Yeah, actually, Harvard's degree is becoming more worthless because it's more race-based than merit-based. You're exactly right.
Okay, now we talked enough about that. Okay, so in the past you made statements about black privilege. So can you explain that to me and what it is? And
yeah, of
how
course.
black
I mean,
people
it's
get over?
easier for a black person to get into college than a white person. You get with lower test scores. It's called affirmative action.
Okay, so that's been so college admission has been affirmative action for college admission has been struck down.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
I'll give you another example. What percentage of TV commercials have black people versus white people?
I'm not sure about that, but white people are also in commercials.
About 40. Well, this is important. About 40 to 50% of all network TV commercials have a person of color right now. What percentage of America is a person of color?
At least for black people, I know we're about 13%.
Yeah, it's about so 13% of the population, nearly half of all the TV commercials.
White people are still in the commercials.
Yes, but underrepresented as proportional, though. The point being, I can give you another example. Easier to get corporate jobs. There are entire departments that are dedicated to just try and expand racial quotas.
You know what would really have fixed this from the beginning had you not had, all the... So why do we have DI in the first place? Because this is the problem that creates. So why was DI necessary in the first place? Or at least the government thought it was necessary in the first place.
Why do I think that it was...
No, why would the government...
Do you want my well-intentioned explanation or the...
Whatever you got.
I mean, DEI was obviously about trying to destroy the excellence of the country and elevate racial tribal politics.
Okay, so if you don't have the racism, right, and then you'll need that program. So you eradicate the racism, and that eliminates the need for any kind of program.
No, but if you have excellence, you're going to find the best.
That tries to take people and put them in place because they're minorities.
You want the best in everything. So let me just ask a final question, okay? If you were about to board a United Airlines flight from Tallahassee to Atlanta, and you find out the airline pilot says, "Hey, everybody, I'm a pilot. I was hired because of diversity. Let's have a great flight." Would that make you feel good or not so good?
No, but I know he's still got to be qualified in order to fly that aircraft.
But he said, "I was hired because of diversity," and you're like...
You still got to meet the standards in order to get into the cockpit.
Well, again, we know because air traffic controllers and many others, they relax those standards. When you have a surgeon...
You're saying that, but look... You're not. It does not make sense. It's irresponsible not only to say that, but to actually put unqualified people in risk lives.
But we know that's actually happening every day, and that's why it doesn't make sense. But racial quotas end up mattering more than excellence. When I go in for surgery, I want my surgeon to be the best surgeon, and here's where we can agree.
I would agree with that.
We want a merit-based society, not a race-based society.
I say we should have started that way from the beginning. But at any rate, then the last thing. I don't want to hog the mic, but I'll just say this last thing. So you talked about black fathers, absentee, and all this other stuff, and everything else. I actually agree. Okay, more fathers in the home and everything else. That's wonderful stuff. The thing is that you also said, and I'm looking at some of your stuff previous, that there's a system in place that actually incentivizes women to make babies without husbands.
It's a great society.
Take that away.
I agree.
And then that problem essentially goes away.
I agree.
Now, I would ask this question also: what % of black men do you think are abandoning their homes right now?
Well, we know that it's actually 60 to 70%.
Okay.
That's massive.
You'd actually be wrong because the CDC actually submitted a report in 2023 that says 54% of black men don't even have children.
But that's
54%.
Those are those are two different numbers, man. I'm talking about those that impregnate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, most black men are actually producing children within the construct of marriage.
I'm talking
right?
about just the kids.
So you're saying black men are getting married and then leaving their families?
Not getting married. That's
No
the
one
problem.
gets married.
What I'm
Baby
saying
mamas.
is the data. I'm saying 2 out of 3 black men impregnate women and don't stay with them.
Sir, I'm telling you that 54% of black men, according to the CDC study 2023 National Health Statistics reports, literally says that 54% don't even have children.
I know that's a complete different stat. Everyone knows what I'm saying and not what you're saying. That's a complete different. That's like a.
So
what I'm saying is that if you have a black child, which obviously exists for some reason, right? Somebody did something to make that black baby.
Okay.
2 out of 3 times, the dad will not be around.
True.
Fact. Done.
All right. Only out of who actually has kids.
Yeah, it's only out of. Thank you. The statistics are actually out of only those who have kids.
So you got black men who are married also. They're not abandoning their children and families at high rates.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the vast majority of black babies are born out of wedlock with abandoned fathers.
Okay, so let's do this.
True.
Now, if that's bad for a black baby,
It's bad for everybody.
So then shouldn't that be your main line then?
It is actually. Everywhere I go, I talk about
when
dads.
you do it, you kind of focus on black men as if somehow we're the only ones that's part of that problem.
Well, no, but it is a black men abandonment issue, of course. I mean, would you agree that's probably the biggest issue facing black America is lack of dads?
Yeah.
It's one of the issues.
Okay, what is the biggest issue?
I don't know. I haven't kind of thought
That's
about
fine.
that.
I want you to think about it over the next couple of days. We as conservatives believe
because we got a lot of problems. But I'll
the breakdown of family, we believe, is the original sin of what's happening. We think that truth transcends color. It's true for white people, black people, Asians, Hispanics. Final thought.
Okay, fine. Good question. I mean, good conversation. That's just. My thing is, when I hear you talk about it, it seems like you're framing it improperly. And then people are here saying that I'm doing it improperly, but, I'm a black man in America. I know something about it.
I'm just offering you grace. I'm not saying that your number is wrong, just saying that it's a statistic that wasn't necessarily relevant to what I was saying. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for talking.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching. This is Charlie. And you guys know I bring Charlie here on my channel all the time. All right. So I so much love Charlie content, right? So based on this video we just watched, it's all about race. If you listen carefully to this particular video, there's no how you're going to appoint someone that is not fit for a job to do the job just because you're considering the skin color or the particular race of the person. So this is something I've discussed here on my channel all the time. And when you're issuing people jobs, you're issuing them based on the fact that this person merits it. This person is worthy to fit into that designation. This person is what it, like this person merits it academically, experience-wise, and in all ramification. So you cannot just appoint someone for a particular job based on the skin color or based on the particular race or culture or so. So this is something that is eating deep into the fabric of this nation, and it has to stop, right? I can't fly an aircraft. If I want to fly an aircraft, I want to believe that the pilot is the best pilot that is competent to fly that craft, because my life is very important to me. So you cannot fit into you can't put in a pilot to ride a aircraft not because the person merits it, but because he or she is good, quite all right, but because you're considering the race of the person. You just like, oh, because of the race, whereas there is a better person that is far better than that person. So a lot of things has to be put in check for this to stop. Now, talking about sexual immoralities and parenting, and guys, I have a whole lot to say, but let's just keep it here, right? I need your comments in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, do what to hit the subscribe button, subscribe to my channel, give us a huge thumbs up. We've come to the end of today's video. Don't go too far, trust me. I'll be right back, and I'll see you in my next video.